best friends, got each other's back. We used to cruise around with a bass to the max. Everyone in school, while I was in the lab, cooking up some beats that would turn into tracks. High school chillin', I was on a mission. I had bigger dreams of being a musician. Teachers always talked, but I couldn't seem to listen. I lived in a fantasy land, they called it fiction. But I was gonna be big one day, playing shows on the road to a sold out stage. Nobody really cared or believed I would make it anywhere close, I would fail and fade. But that's cool, I love that, cause any little doubt gives me energy back. And now, I'm in a place where I'm glad I never gave up on the dreams I had. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. Yeah, let's go. So if you want something big, you gotta swing fast, swing hard and commit. You might miss 10 times, but when you hit, just make sure that you get all of it, okay? People at the top took risks. Investing and testing is all that they did. It's not complicated, it just takes grit. So never give up, take a swing at it. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing.
What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome to the Pick and Roll Podcast, episode number 91. 91, 9 more to 100. I'm here with Blaze Radio and Nikki Stees, who will be the host of NFL Pick'ems tonight at 8 o'clock. How you guys doing?
Good. Good news, bad news type of show, but
Yeah,
we're twins.
Hey, I got this. But hey, it's Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to call him the other name. He doesn't deserve that at all. I'm just saying it. There you go. I was waiting for that. Hey, we got Ryan in the house, but it's good. And Vic. Who's Vic? I know Vic Watt.
That's Vic
Who's
Watt.
Vic? I want Vic Watt.
It's his brother.
Oh, it's his brother. Oh, TJ Watt?
Yeah. TJ Vic.
I like that. I like that. Vic, your next one is TJ Vic. But, hey, we got to get it started, man. It actually happened a couple days ago during Media Day. Dikembe Mutombo passed away during brain cancer. That is literally my childhood. 58 years old, man. 58. I'm going to miss this guy. I'm going to start off with Blaze on this one.
I think one thing that a lot of people, talk about with Dikembe, obviously, is what he did on the court. But I'd like to take a second to talk about what he did off the court.
Yes.
Dikembe Mutombo was not one of those professional athletes that wore all the glamour and the expensive cars and the jewelry and all that stuff, living the life. He gave back. I don't have exact details, but I kept seeing report after report after report about how he was giving back to third world countries, just helping people with the money that he makes. And I think the lesson, regardless of your fame, is if you can take some of what you make when you're that highly paid and give back to as many people as you can, this world would be a much better place. But it's a shame that, most of them, well, they have their families and the people that work for them to take care of first of all, because, I've said this a million times, you have to remember each professional athlete is a corporation. They are the CEO of their own corporation. The rest of their family, all the people that work for them, the finances, the people that help them with their health and their, there's so many, their agents. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on about how these are business entities, but they're human beings. And he showed his human side with a lot of his money by helping people. And I just wish more people, more professional athletes, movie stars, and a lot of them do, give back. But the amount that he gave back is what I kept hearing about over and over. And if you think about it, when was he ever, seen all dressed super snazzy and looks like, the guy, I'm sure he lived a good life as someone who was one of the best at what he did. And, we talk about international players too. So that as well, he was an amazing international player. So I just wish more people would give back. When you make millions and millions, yes, you're going to get taxed more. You're going to pay a lot of people because that work for you. But giving back is such a blessing. And I wanted to make sure that we will talk about some of his finest moments and what we love about him on the court. But we have to address what he did off the court as a human being. And my hat is off. No, I'm not wearing a hat. Hat is off to Dikembe Mutombo. More people should be like him when they got the wealth that he had. And I want to give a big shout out to my man Huddle Card Collection. I just did an interview on his channel and Pittsburgh channel on Monday night. It'll be debuting here within the next couple weeks. It was a personal interview. So if you want to know the behind the scenes and the story of Blaise McCoy, how I got here and what I had to overcome, it's called the Achieve More podcast. So, when it comes out, I'll be sharing it out. Come and laugh at my story, cry a little bit like I did. I'm a very emotional person. And big shout out to Michael from Huddle Card Collection and my man Anthony from Pittsburgh as well.
All right. Awesome. Nikki, you got anything to say about Dikembe Mutombo?
Of course. I mean, Dikembe Mutombo, to evaluate on what Blaise said, here's a list of the things that he got involved in. He got the Dikembe Mutombo Foundation, was meant to improve living conditions in Congo. He started that in the late 90s. He participated in the Basketball Without Borders program, which was meant to spread word of basketball throughout the continent of Africa alongside Sean Bradley, Malik Rose, and a few others. Then he got paid for the Zaire women's basketball team in the 96 Olympics. And then he's always been a supporter of the Special Olympics as well. And he received the humanitarian award from the Johns Hopkins Public Health Hospital in 2010 or 2011. These are just some of the accolades he accomplished for his humanitarian work and some of the things he did. So Dikembe Mutombo did a lot there, and he was a very respected person. He even got acknowledgement from George W. Bush back in 2007 at the State of the Union address, which goes to show a lot of people love Dikembe Mutombo, regardless of what they believe politically, who they supported. We all agree that Dikembe Mutombo was an outstanding human being outside of basketball. And while we're on the subject, we'll talk about the basketball a little bit. I mean, he was the most prolific and exciting shot blocker. In some of his highlights, he would block shots 2-3 times in a possession. He would block one shot. The offense get the rebound. They try again. Try to pass it off to the next guy. Comes through. Nope. Try one more time. Nope. And then he created the finger wag. We all know that one, and we thank Dikembe for that. He's also one of the best defensive players of all time and an outstanding human being. Just, a phenomenal role model. It's a shame that it takes someone passing for us to recognize how great they were just with everything they did in their life. But Dikembe Mutombo, certainly someone that people should model themselves after, especially professional athletes or even average Joes. If you can be influenced to give back in some way, even if you don't have the money of a Dikembe Mutombo, you can be influenced to at least help out your community in some way, shape, or form. Give extra supply to your neighbors, something. That's one thing that everyone could take an influence from Dikembe Mutombo, regardless of how much money you have. Even though you're not going to be able to give back as much as he did, just doing something like doing a simple favor for your neighbors can go a long way. And that's one of the influences he had. And like I said, easily one of the greatest defensive players of all time. So rest in peace, Dikembe Mutombo. Salute to you. phenomenal influence.
All right. Now, for me, like I said earlier, it's about my childhood. 2000 and 2001, when he got traded, Sixers actually traded for him from Theo Ratliff, who was actually funny, one of my neighbors at the time, actually kind of funny. And then I actually saw him get traded away with the truck, him driving away, so I saw that, kind of cool. But once we got Mutombo to keep one-on-one with Shaq, that dominant force next to that dominant force, did it really help? It was entertaining, but no, it did not really help at all. It was just to be in contention. But then, like these guys were saying, my guys that were talking about off the court stuff, that's basically what he was really known for as he was retired. Like, they still role model his game. Like Joel Embiid doing the Sixers media day, he was talking about how much influence that Dikembe Mutombo had on him. You can look at probably one of the best shot blockers in the league. Just all these guys, man. All these guys worship Mutombo. Great career and everything. So, R.I.P. to Dikembe Mutombo. So, Blaze, if you got any moments on him on the court.
Yeah, I want to thank Nikki for doing a little research there and talking about exactly the things he gave back. So big shout out to Nikki for doing that, because I normally come very prepared with a lot of information. We're going to talk about rebounds later, and I did do research for that one. But big shout out to Nikki Steves for doing the research to give people a little more detail on exactly what he did. So as you saw, not just one area, he gave in so many areas. But on the court, I think of one moment. I think of 1994. The Nuggets played the number 1 seed Seattle Supersonics. They had no business winning that. And I just remember him on the ground with the basketball, so happy, and them taking out the number 1 seed. It was like his arrival to me. Later on with a couple other teams, and like you guys touched on too, the ability to shot block and rebound. And I'm looking at his career stats, 1,196 games. He averaged 9.8 points. I mean, he's not like the typical big-time scorer big man, but he was 10.3 rebounds a game, 1 assist a game, 51% field goal percentage, 68% free throw. But it's more about how it impacted the game, like Nikki touched on a little bit too. Getting multiple offensive rebounds, blocking people's shots right back at him 3 or 4 times in one trip down the court. That affects the game so big. And it's weird to compare, but I see a little bit of Wembanyama in him.
I was just about to say that.
In the length, the wingspan, and how big and lengthy he can be. And not only just, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world that have the height and have the wingspan and the length, but you got to be able to use it. And a lot of people, like Nikki and Mitch just so eloquently said earlier, man, people will model their game. When you're talking about shot blockers, rebounds, you look back at a Dikembe Mutombo, who, and I always think of his voice when he talks to that deep voice, he was so engaging. Like he was a teddy bear. So it was fun to listen to him because he was different, at the same time. And he brought such a unique style of the game. He didn't have to score 30 points a game to wow you. And I think that's a little bit of what's missing in today's game. And when we talk about rebounds later, you'll see how the evolution of the inside game or the big man game has changed.
Yep. Yeah, well, obviously we're going to talk about rebounding and all that, but there's just one more thing I got to say about Mutombo that not a lot of people are talking about. Is what the executives, like you look at Daryl Morey, you look at all these guys who hung around with Mutombo to work behind the scenes of the courts and stuff, really get to know Mutombo. It's not about the players, it's about the people behind what we don't see. It's more about that, the owners, the executives, and all that stuff. So shout out to them who really got to know Dikembe Mutombo.
That's a good point. When have you heard a bad word about Dikembe?
Never.
Like that's what, you hear a lot of when you get professional athletes, they get in trouble, women, drugs, guns, you name it, drinking, partying. I can't remember ever hearing anything bad about Dikembe. He's a model NBA player, and shows that it's called the National Basketball Association, and people do have their say. It's like, why is it a world championship? because everyone from the world comes to this league to play. You know,
Yes.
you are a world champion because, and now more than ever, we talked about the dream team a couple shows ago. Look at all the international players that we have. This is a worldwide game, and I love it. NBA asking is fantastic.
Yeah. Now let's put it back to today's NBA and talk about the biggest trade that happened at the very end of the offseason. Karl Anthony Towns gets traded to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick from Detroit. And there was other teams involved, like the Hornets, that were added later on for salary cap reasons. So, Nikki, how do you feel about Karl Anthony Towns on the Knicks? Does it make it better or worse?
On paper, it does make them a better team because they add a big to it, a valuable big, and then you got Mikal Bridges, who is going to take what he learned from the Nets and be a number 2 guy. This looks like a great move on paper, but we'll have to see what happens though. But granted, so far, yeah, this looks promising. Now for Cat, we know with Minnesota, obviously they were looking to make Anthony Edwards the main guy, and Karl Anthony Towns, the long-term plan for Minnesota started to take a dip when they had to transition more toward Edwards being the main guy. So it was like, okay, I guess they decided to move on from just make it officially the Anthony Edwards era. So the original plan to make Karl Anthony Towns the face of your team doesn't conflict with it, making Anthony Edwards the face. I guess that's probably part of it. And they get themselves a little bit depth. They get DiVincenzo, and who else did they get from that trade?
They got DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, and a first.
All right, Julius Randle. Yep. So for Minnesota, though, I feel it's a downgrade because Julius Randle, we've seen he's reached his ceiling kind of for what he is. He'll play good at times, maybe an all-star once or twice, but in big game situations, what has Julius Randle really done to help a team win? So now, granted, he's not going to be the face; it's going to be Anthony Edwards. But for Julius Randle, the number 2 guy, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that's going to pan out because we kind of know his ceiling.
So I just want to bring up Julius Randle. You bring up a good point there, but the main reason he was involved in the trade is because of the salary cap. What is up, Butterfly? Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate everyone tuning in to this Pick and Roll podcast. It's about the money. Julius Randle, last year of his contract. You look at Karl Anthony Towns. He still has 4 years left on his contract. You keep on looking up, gets 45 mil, 50 mil, etc. And then you look at the Timberwolves. They have all these players on extensions. Anthony Edwards on extensions. Nas Reed on extensions. McDaniels on an extension. So that's really the reason why Cat got traded, because he was the odd man out. And then with the Knicks, however, you add arguably the best big man, one of the best big shooting bigs of all time, up there with Dirk. I would personally take Dirk. That is my opinion. But then once Mitchell Robinson is back, Cat will move to the 4. Mitchell Robinson will be at the 5. So that is why this had to go down. They needed a big. So, Blake.
A lot to unpack with this. First and foremost, this is one of the biggest trades in NBA history right before the season starts. It's very unusual for a trade this enormous to go down right before the season starts. However, number one, I'm a little invested in it more because I'm a Kentucky fan. You got Randall, you got Cat moving. And I was worried about the chemistry of Randall coming into that Knicks team that was so well last year. Randall likes to cause a little issues. He's a very boisterous type of player. And Cat, I do think, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mitchell Robinson gets moved sometime in this season.
They were talking about that. I forget the player involved, but yes.
But just to break down that the trade just a little more, Randall, DiVincenzo, Bates, Diop also go to the Wolves. And in a 2025 first round pick, which I think that's so important. Yeah. Because this Knicks are building for now. So is Minnesota, but getting that first round pick next year, they can add someone even better to mold and mesh in with those guys over there. And I think this is beneficial for both teams. I really do. I think both teams benefit from this. But just like I always say, when you put someone in a new system with a new coach, you got to mesh with them. Now, keep in mind, Tibbs and Cat know each other. So that's a reuniting of Cat now playing with a coach that he's familiar with. So that's a point. What is Julius Randle's role going to be with the Wolves? That's my biggest question here. And here's the thing. With that first round pick, even if Randle doesn't work out there, I don't think it hurts the Wolves that much. We talked about last year before the season, Cat really giving up that number one role. That's a good point where it did seem like Randle wasn't going to come back, like Michael says there. And with Minnesota now being Ant's team completely, that opens it up for him. And I really think that's a big deal too. Now the Hornets receive, I don't know, Charlie Brown. I don't know if Snoopy or anybody else goes along with him, but Daquan Jeffries, Dwayne Washington Jr., 2 second-round picks from the Knicks and 1 second round from the Wolves. So like you said, getting in late, the Hornets coming in to help out with some of this, getting those picks is big because the Hornets, we've talked about last week, we talked about it. They need to rebuild. And it might be getting rid of Melo at some point in time. Who knows? But that's going to be difficult to get rid of him. Probably build around him is what they're going to want to do. But to see the Knicks improve as a Sixer fan puts a little bit more fear. And, the Sixers got the biggest free agent of the year in Paul George, adding with a healthy Embiid and Maxey stepping up too, dangerous. So to see the Knicks say, hey, we're going to make a move too, this Eastern Conference is going to be really fun to watch. I made a hot take the other night and said that I think the Knicks and Sixers could be fighting for the title, not the Celtics. And I know I got a lot of heat for it because the Celtics are the champs. They brought everyone back. How often? It's so difficult to repeat in the NBA. It's so difficult. It's not like it used to be with the dynasties. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. A healthy Sixer team. Sixer team. Let me repeat that one more time. Healthy Sixer team meeting the Knicks in the Eastern Finals if it pans out right.
So here is something that nobody's really talking about. Karl-Anthony Towns in the playoffs. He doesn't deliver. People on Twitter were calling him the Tobias Harrisons of big men. And I'm like,
playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah. But then, you know what? They still have Rudy Gobert. They're stuck with Rudy Gobert now. They're literally stuck. They gave up everything to get him.
I was going to say they should have traded Gobert.
They can't.
I know, but as an Ant fan, I like the Cat and Ant combination. I really did.
Too.
I wanted to see them try to develop because they started to show it last year. I was like, why can't you give the Knicks Gobert? Because I can't stand Rudy Gobert. It's all unfair, but I would have loved him to go to the Knicks so I can give Coach and all the Knicks.
He's the one who locked everyone down.
Yeah,
No, did you understand the joke?
Yeah, I can't stand him. He's just a weird dude. He's a good. I mean, I'm not going to knock his.
He's
game.
Overrated. Let's just say he's overrated.
I don't think he was the best defensive player last year. I would have gave it to freaking Wemby, even though he was on a team that wasn't that great. Shout out to Rios at the Astro game. Already drunk, my man Rios.
Whenever we talk about Wemby, he's never here.
He's got to bang on them trash cans, Astros.
Yeah. But hey, the trade is going to be fun. It just comes down to Minnesota couldn't afford Cat. That was the only reason.
Another thing we didn't talk about too is Mitchell Robinson.
Astros are down 5-2, top of the ninth.
Mitchell Robinson's not coming back at the beginning of the year. He's still not healthy. So they're going to need Cat right off the bat. He doesn't have time to acclimate himself. He's got to go right in and start.
Yeah.
I think he's like you said, as a big man that could also shoot, stretching the floor with that team, and Brunson at the point, man, they're going to be dangerous. And I don't think losing DiVincenzo really hurts them as much as he was like a spark off the bench. I don't think it hurts the Knicks as much as some people. I don't believe the big Villanova thing. And DiVincenzo even said he didn't care about that.
No, he didn't like his role. He wanted out. And here's the one thing. Look at the Knicks lineup. You have Cat, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges.
They're
And then
dangerous, man. If Cat meshes well, that team's going to be tough to beat.
Oh, I cannot.
Like, that's
Where
why,
is
as a Sixer
Coach?
fan, I'm like, dadgummit. I was hoping Randall went in there and screwed things up for him.
It does not.
A little bit on the
does-
bench. He's right.
It does. It does, but you still got McBride. I was talking to a couple of my friends who were Knicks fans, like diehard Knicks fans, and they're upset that they got rid of some grit. I can see that. See that.
That's a lot of value when a player can come off the bench and add that spark, especially if you're losing or your team, your big players aren't hitting. I never asked Huddle. I know he's a Mets fan. Are you a Knicks fan too? I think he might be a Knicks fan.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
More than you know. But hey, man, we got to stick with the Eastern Conference. Giannis and Dame, apparently on Media Day, Giannis came out and said that him and Dame were not able to work out together during the off season. Now, why that one?
Okay. Congratulations for not working out. I don't know. I mean, I know why it's news because these two and they didn't really live up, but injuries crushed the Bucks last year, man. Next fan, there you go. Injuries crushed the Bucks last year. They got so much talent. I'm a huge Giannis fan. I love his game. I will talk about him later on as well, but I just think that really hurt them. Otherwise, that would have been a hell of a caveat last year in those playoffs if the Bucks were healthy.
Wait, what'd you say?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
All right, you don't have to play the damn thing.
Well, you did.
I just played the very beginning.
Well, I don't know that.
I know. What's up, Chad and Troy? How you guys doing?
Yeah, what is up, guys? What is up? But
please make sure. Make sure you guys share this out. The season's about to start, and this podcast is really going to get ramped up. I've even talked to Mitch about maybe moving it later in the evening, possibly, so we can get more people, possibly right before the game start at 7. Because I know on the West Coast we're starting at 2 p.m. So I mean, if you're watching a replay of this, because it's normally right about an hour, please leave us a comment. Let us know who your team is. We really want to beef up this podcast. We're going to bring back our Toronto guy, Randy, at some point, our Knicks guy, Coach, at some point. We got people, Rios and the Rockets. So, I mean, this is our Sixer group here, but we are not just Sixer people if you've never watched this podcast. We got people from the Suns and the Knicks and the Raptors and all over the place. So we rep the entire NBA on this podcast.
This is a good point. Really appreciate that, Troy. Really do.
Yeah, so we were working on maybe trying to find a later spot, maybe right before the games start on one of these nights, because as you guys know, when NBA starts, it's on just about every night.
And you guys know I stream a lot of the games. If you guys did not know, I'm not a part of Edge Affiliate anymore. Some stuff went on. So I'm going to have more time for basketball games. So just keep that out there. Maybe I would like this if we move it to a different time. I really do now. Like Thursdays are wide open for me.
And it's like, we talked in the last last year and even before that, how competitive the West was.
Yeah.
East is too now, man. The East is too. And we've been talking about young teams like the Cavs, teams like the Bulls that could be on the up and up. Like there's so much in the East that's going down. It's like it's going to be very interesting. Like the Celtics, the Bucks are healthy. Healthy Sixers once again. There's a lot of the Magic. There's so many great teams. Yeah.
We'll think it's something. Because I'm really heavy. By moving it to a better time. I'm really involved. We'll talk to the guys and see it where everyone's sitting at.
We could be like the lead in for the night's games,
I love that.
Right before the
game.
There you
go. Let's do it.
So, Nikki, I didn't get your response about this Giannis and Dame not working out in the offseason.
I mean, I understand why it's a bit concerning because last year things didn't work out, but there were injuries too. So, but at the same time, you can argue, well, if these guys were dealing with a lot of injuries, they didn't have a whole lot of time to mesh. They should have took the offseason to get it together and get on the same page. But I know Giannis was at home for part of the offseason too.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
So that plays a role in it. That's part of the thing, though. Now that ties into a whole nother subject about some of the problems with European players forming chemistry with American players. During the offseason, some of these European players go home for a month or two to go visit their families, visit some places they haven't been to in a while, visit their longtime supporters. So that's part of it too. That's probably what these guys do when they're over there. So that plays a role in them trying to find the right time to work out and put everything together. Now, I don't know the whole deal with Dame and Giannis, but they probably should have found some time to at least get on the same page. But we'll have to see how it's going to affect them now. There's nothing that we can do about it now. They can do about it now. They have to wait and see what the Bucks do come season time and how it affects them.
When you talk about the Bucks, you're forgetting about a couple of players that are very, very big for this Bucks franchise. Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis.
Yes.
Bobby Portis is so underrated. I'm telling you, if he gets more time, he'll be fine. He'll be perfect. You're a Brook Lopez there.
Right. And you have a good team, and that's good. Now, is it possible it could affect them later on down the line? Maybe, maybe not. That remains to be determined, though.
You know what we're forgetting?
I don't know.
Who's their head coach?
Doc Rivers.
I don't think not working out, consistently with somebody is gonna, affect their ability to play. I mean, people can make a lot out of that, but I was one that always preached I was wanting Dame out of Portland so he could play with another all-star. I was like, please get him somewhere to play.
That happened like a week later.
Yeah, and it's like, like we said, and I never use injuries or referees. Two things you can't control: injuries and referees. The injuries happen to the Bucks.
Blame the referees. Blame everything.
It's going to happen this year too. To a couple teams, they're going to have to suffer injuries that are going to hurt them. That's why we see teams like the Celtics and the Nuggets that are so deep win champions.
Pacers.
Yeah, that's another team that definitely can't forget them. The ones that made the finals of the in-season tournament.
There it is. There you go, Troy.
The NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup this year. It sounds so professional.
I love that. I really do.
I mean, it's not bad. NBA Cup sounds a lot better than in-season tournament. In-season tournament sounds like a preseason thing or something like that.
But I like it. It was something different.
But we can still call it that. It's still the in-season tournament. But the NBA Cup, because they gave them the cup instead of the
But you have the Stanley Cup. You got the World Cup. You got all these
basketball needs a cup. You get hit in the nuts, you need a cup.
Don't forget baseball.
But we talked about it last year, how much, those games when it came down to the group stage, how much it meant. Like we saw the professionalism and the sportsmanship, and the games got more intense. Yeah, it got down to those little the postseason in the middle of the season, if you want to say it. And yes, they probably did it for ratings and for money as well. But if you look at the last 5 years of the NBA, the first half drags. And this gives them something. I don't want them to add any prizes for it. Nothing. Just give them the cup and the money. I don't know all this talk about giving them something down the road, or how, remember the All-Star game for baseball was home field advantage if the NL or the AL want. No. Keep this as its own little entity. It's going to work out fine. Don't change it. And I love the different courts and stuff they use. So it's part of the NBA Cup whenever they're playing.
And actually, some breaking news. The Astros got swept. They're out.
There you go.
Astros are out. So, Rios.
No banging on trash cans this year.
But Rios
definitely throw Troy's right. Definitely throw the Pacers in there. So there's 6 or 7 Eastern teams.
Magic.
I said the Magic too, and the Cavs. There's a lot of young teams. There's a lot of teams that can make noise. I mean, there's 5 now, I would say, at the top that could win the East. So it's going to be very interesting. What's up, Spongy?
Hey, Spongy. What is up? Now we got to talk about another Eastern Conference team, the Chicago Bulls, and their point guard, Respect, is supposed to come back in Lonzo Ball. And I'm all for it because years ago, or last year, a year ago, whenever I said it, I said that Lonzo Ball should retire because they could never fix his knee, whatever it was. But hey, he's back. Does that help Chicago or does that hurt him? Please.
I mean, I don't think he's like a superstar. Like
he's
the
not.
Balls were said when they came out, and their dad would always say, and I'm glad their dad's not involved and throw those ridiculous shoes out the window, But I think he can be a hell of a role player if he's healthy. I mean, right now the depth charts has him behind Josh Giddey at the starting point guard. And I wouldn't be totally against that. Giddey's been playing, so he's fresh. Lonzo, he's a big question mark when he comes back. I mean, these are injuries. I'm a big Kobe White fan. I think Zach LaVine, I mean, I thought that he was going to be moved too, but he has a little more, and I'm a huge Matas Bucelis fan. I think
yes, you are. Did you get a jersey yet?
No, I think he's going to be a superstar. They have Patrick Williams, they have Jalen Smith, they got Vucevic. They have a good team there, but it's like I always say, you got to watch and wait for them to play together. You're bringing Lonzo back, who didn't play. You're bringing Gideon, who's from a different team. You know, you lost one of your star players. You're adding players that were role players hoping to do better. I'm rooting for the Bulls. I mean, to think about, they haven't done well since the Jordan era. You know, they've struggled with trying to do well. They had the Derrick Rose year or two, where, as we talked about last week,
right.
And it's like, so I think the Bulls can make some noise. I think they might be a play-in team at the best this year, but that's a hell of a start for a team that hasn't played together very long or doesn't really have that superstar.
No. And Nikki, Lonzo Ball, how do you feel about it?
I mean, it's good for him that he gets to come back and actually have an opportunity to showcase himself. So I'm happy for Lonzo.
Yep.
Now, for the question is, though, what's he going to be when he returns? Because he's off a long layoff. We don't know yet. So it could go either way. This could either be helpful, it could give the Bulls a spark, or it could be a flop. We don't know yet. So that's the interesting question there. And for the Bulls, another thing is you also got Zach LaVine, too. How's he going to come back when he's ready? So that's two big questions and concerns. And as far as Lonzo goes, we got to remember, Lonzo's a solid player, but he's never truly been like a superstar. He's never been a true top player. Even though he can help a team, he's never truly been that guy. So Lonzo, if he can come back and be healthy, he could help the Bulls in some of their games a little bit, but I feel like that's only going to go so far. I mean, they have some decent talent, as Blaze says, but the thing is, they haven't been able to really put it together yet for one reason or another. Even when they're healthy, they haven't truly put it together and lived up to the hype. So there's a lot of pressure on this team now to actually do something with it.
Just to piggyback before you go, Mitch, on what Nikki said, I hope the expectations aren't really high for Lonzo. Like, I don't want people to think he's going to come in and be. Now let's look at the Derrick Rose scenario. I mean, we talked about him last week a lot with his retiring. Lingering injuries and trying to come back from that is not. And this is a game where you are constantly moving and constantly, it's a contact sport. And I think, they're going to get conditioned. He's going to be ready to go. It's just, where's his mentality? Like Nikki said, when you haven't been on the court for a while, but I'm kind of rooting for him as much as I couldn't stand those kids when they came out of college. I'm kind of a mini Bulls fan. It can't be too much because they're in the East, but I want to see them do okay, especially Buzelis. Because I got a lot of money in him with his cards. What's up, Willie Styles?
Nikki brought up Zach LaVine. Last year, when you really watched the games, they were better without Zach LaVine, which is honestly funny. So if I were them, I would have Kobe White at the 2, Lonzo Ball at the 1, and have Zach LaVine come off the bench.
Yeah.
They don't have DeMar DeRozan anymore. They can work as a full unit, have a spark off the bench. That's my take.
I think LaVine needs to be the man there now. There's no DeRozan to kind of take it off.
Kobe White.
Kobe White will be the Magic Johnson running it down. He'll be the next superstar. But LaVine now, there's no excuse with DeRozan that he shouldn't be the man. He averaged 20 points a game last year. I mean, so LaVine can do it. If Kobe can supplement him, and then some of these young players live up to their potential. A team that can make a little bit of noise, but I don't think we should waste too much time thinking they're going to do much damage, especially when we got beefed up Celtics, Sixers, Knicks. We got all these teams that are, Pacers, Bucks. Those are the big hitters, so the Bulls can make a little bit of damage, maybe playing at the best.
All right. You know what Lonzo Ball is not a part of? The greatest rebounders of all time. So let's talk about.
Nice try to segue there, Mitch.
I tried.
Yeah.
But hey, top 5 rebounders of all time. I'm excited for this one. I think
Yeah.
we're all gonna come around the same names.
No,
I feel like
I went a different route.
okay,
Because
Nikki, you go first. Oh,
okay.
hold on.
No,
You
go
want to
ahead.
go first? You want Nikki? It's up to you.
Well, I can bring out the list later because I have a couple things
Yeah.
I want to share when it comes to and the same thing. When we talked about blocks and we talked about steals or assists, when you talk about these type of stats, you can look at them two different ways. You can look at overall over their whole career how many they had, or you can look at per game, which I think is more important because you're talking about how many they got per game. So number one, with rebounding, you can break it down to offense and defensive rebound, first of all. And there are different eras. So I cannot say just a top 5 overall. So I broke it up into 3 eras. You got the old school era, you got the 80s, 90s, some into the 1000 era, and you got the current era. Because the game has changed so much, you really can't compare rebounders from back then to rebounders to now. The game has changed too much. However, there's a couple consistents that are right in there. And I'll give you my 5 first, and then I'll let you guys go, and then I'll bring the list on so we can talk about all the
Yes. Yeah.
overall, it's Wilt and Bill Russell.
Yes.
They averaged over 20 rebounds a damn game. I mean, and to
Will
expect,
average 50 for a season.
yeah, 22.89 for Wilt in his career, 22.49 for Bill. But like I said, you can't expect players to average 20 rebounds a game today. So those stats will probably never be matched. So
Yeah.
I don't want to compare. So 2 from the old school era, it's Wilt, it's Bill. A lot of people could throw Kareem in there too. Then I'll go to the 80s/90s era. A little bit of a homer, but the round mound to rebound. Charles Barkley. He was offensive and defensive. And when I show the list of the overall, you're going to see names lower that I'm putting in there because of the eras. So Charles Barkley, 11.69 rebounds per game in his career. And you got to think about quality of rebounds too. These rebounds, the rebound I would think is the hardest to make a tangible number. Scoring is easy, right? Blocks is super tough because if you block a ball and it goes right back to the other team, what did you really do? They have another shot at it. Rebound, if it's an offensive rebound, you're giving your team another chance to score. Defensive rebound, you're taking it away from the other team. So rebounding is very subjective and hard. So I got Barkley as the third one, and then Dennis Rodman. I mean, that's what he did. That was his claim to fame. 13.12 rebounds per game is just phenomenal. And he didn't need to score. He would block shots every once in a while, but that was his claim to fame.
Yes.
There are some more old school guys that could have made the top 5. There are some in that era, big men, bigger than Rodman and Barkley that could have made the list too. But I'm going with kind of my 5 favorite, 2 from old school, 2 from the 80s, 90s. And now I'm going with the current day. Last year's leader in rebounds per game, Anthony Davis, 15.6 points per game. He, without what he did defensively and offensively on the board, the Lakers would have been a lot worse off.
Yeah.
So the value of his rebounds were huge. Huge. Just a couple honorable mention because it's tough to not mention Shaq. It's tough to not mention Hakeem, the Malones, Carl and Moses. And today, Wemby, Drummond, and Embiid. It's tough not to mention those guys.
And we got 2 of them.
Yeah, and arguably, like you said last week, Drummond said he's the best in the game right now. It's tough to argue against that when you look at the numbers, dude. He
said of all time.
Well, to argue that he's one of the greatest of all time because of what he's doing now in this era compared to the 2 eras I just talked about, the 80s and 90s and old school. So I'll go Wilt, Russell, Barkley, Rodman, AD. That's my 5. It's tough to only pick 5, though.
I know. Troy, I'm so happy that happened. What? Oh, Astros. Yeah. All right. Nikki, I'll be right back. My computer's about to die.
All right. Do what you got to, Mitch. Go ahead. For top 5 rebounders, love the way you did it, Blaze, was perfect. You tried to mention people from different eras.
Just changed.
And throw that in there. I mean, I'll go with my main five right there. Of course, you got Charles Barkley, phenomenal rebounder. He was, he's remembered for that too. On top of it, that was one of his main attributes. Then, of course, this guy right here, Dr. J, was a tremendous all-around player and a pioneer for the Sixers. He was a great rebounder. And then, of course, Dennis Rodman, he could just get you bored. He was getting boards like crazy as well. Like we pointed out. I mean, that's how he started in the Bad Boy Pistons. He started off being that great rebounder. And that's part of what the Bulls wanted him there for when he got to the Bulls a few years later, when his time with the Spurs didn't really work out. And then, of course, you got Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, two of the all-time greats. They were the original of like the great all-around players that we can talk about and recognize. But if we're going to go with some honorable mentions, we could go, of course, Anthony Davis, as Blaze mentioned. And they'll even go with prime Dwight Howard, because you remember prime Dwight Howard was a rebound machine.
11.78 for his career. That's phenomenal. He's definitely one that's up there.
You got him. There was another. I mean, even Andre Drummond, because that's his strong attribute. He's been a good rebounder too. If you want to go more of a modern one, that's kind of underlooked. And of course, of course, Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing. If you just want to throw a few names in there that haven't been mentioned yet. So I figured throw those guys in as honorable mentions just to get a few extra names thrown in the conversation.
Well, another point that you made too, which bringing up Dr. J, that a lot of people don't talk about, is the guards that get rebounds. You know, I mean, when you look at the list after Mitch gives his 5, we'll bring up the list because I have 4 different lists I want to show. But you got to talk about the little guys that get the rebounds too. They aren't going to get as many, but how impactful is someone like a Dr. J, who's maybe your top scorer, also getting rebounds? Little guys getting rebounds. LeBron is a great rebounder. You got to put him up.
Westbrook doing that triple-double phase.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you brought up Dr. J, because when you think rebounds, you're going to think the forwards and the centers, the big guys.
Yeah,
they're the ones in there hitting the boards the most. But I'm really interested on Mitch's top 5 now before we get into the list here.
Hold on. You know who could have been one of the best rebounders? Ben Simmons. He could have been. Look what happened.
He's not done yet.
He's not done yet.
Go Pistons.
Pistons. We're not rooting for Tobias.
Tobias, comeback player of the year, him and Ben Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm going to go, they're mostly going to be big men, obviously. I'm going to go Moses Malone. Obviously, I got to put my Sixers in there.
I wanted to try not to go too many Sixers because there was some good rebounders for the Sixers. You can go Drummond, Embiid, Malone, and Barkley. 4 right there, all Sixers. Okay.
I know. Then instead of Elvin Hayes, I'm looking at the list right here. I'm gonna go with, you know what? Let's go with Tim Duncan at the 4. Tim Duncan, the fundamentals. I mean, he's a rebounding machine. And then I got Kareem, Bill, and Wilt. Obviously, I would put Andre Drummond there, but he's not done. So, all right. Let me see the list, please.
So let's do it in segments because I have 4 slides. We're going to start with defensive rebounds. So these are your overall defensive rebounds. The first category is broken down NBA, ABA. The middle one is just ABA. The right one is NBA. So you look at defensive rebounds: Garnett, Malone, Duncan, Howard.
I was going to put Garnett there. Yeah.
I mean, those are ones we don't think about. And look, LeBron James in the top 10 of defensive rebounds, I mean, you can't really say which rebound is more important, offense or defense, because like I said, one gives your team another chance, one takes a chance away from the other team. But the Shaqs, Nikki brought up Mutombo and Ewing up there. Some of the less known names, though, like Robert Parrish, Buck Williams, Gasol, Kevin Willis was a hell of a rebounder. You're talking about a guy who looked like a pro wrestler. So as a skinny guy who was tall, I hated playing with guys that were jacked because they're going to hurt you when they rebound. They're going to push you down. And Charles Oakley, I'm sure if Coach was here, we'd get a shout out to Charles Oakley. Lambeer, Sean Marion, even Larry Bird, and like Elvin Hayes that you mentioned too. The second list I want to bring up is offensive rebounds. So offensive, I mean, these are like Moses Malone's on top of the world here. Like, look at the separation between him and the second person overall. It's like ridiculous. So
Artist Gilmore. I was thinking about Artist Gilmore the other day.
Shaq, I mean, he's another one. You don't just get rebounded over Shaq. You're going to get knocked on your ass more than likely. And you mentioned Duncan. Then you see some of the names like Tyson Chandler, Horace Grant, Otis Thorpe, Ben Wallace, how great he was at rebounding. Elton Brand, Dale Davis, Zach Randolph, players that might not have been like Hall of Fame worthy, but rebounds change the game. They can really help change the game. And you see Dr. J top 10 there in ABA, like Nikki brought up.
You know who's another one a lot of people are not talking about? He's in the league today. He plays on the Warriors, Draymond Green.
Yeah. Yep.
Draymond Green, a lot of people got to put respect on his name, even though we don't like him as of right now for all the dirty stuff he's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to put the respect on his name. Draymond Green is one of the best rebounders.
David Robinson, you got to put him in there. Who's the other one I just saw? Garnett, Kevin Garnett, and DeAndre Jordan. I mean, DeAndre Jordan. Not only would he rebound on you, he's going to dunk on your head too. So
correct. Yao Ming. He was not a big rebounder, was he? No.
I mean, when you're that size, you didn't have to go. He could only jump like what 2 inches off the ground. He didn't need to jump very hard. So I didn't see him in any of these lists. He may be. So let's break it down 2 ways overall. We did offensive and defense.
Break it down 2 ways. Whoa.
This is total rebounds of all time. And you look at the numbers. This is what I'm talking about. Chamberlain and Russell, they're like thousands of, rebounds over everybody else. So you can't really compare the eras as much as I wanted to, so many different other people, in here overall. I like to focus mostly on the right column, which is just the NBA. Nate Thurman, Wes Unseld, Paul Silas, Bob Pettit, some of the old school guys that you don't really talk about. And sneaking in right at the bottom, LeBron with 11,000. You stack that number with all his other accolades, and it's pretty damn phenomenal. But the slide I wanted to get to the most important, Dark Lumen always asks that question. Yes, we're live.
I know.
So
yes, we're live.
When we say your name, we wouldn't have done that on a recorded podcast. So, So the final one is the most important, in my opinion. It is per game. So, and you still can't compare Wilt and Bill to the rest of them. Not even the ones from their era. 22.
Who's number 3?
Bob Pettit. Bob Pettit back in the day, he was another one. There was those few guys in the 60s, 70s that were just so much taller than everybody else. It was easier for them to rebound. I'm not knocking their skill, but once again, want to focus Artist Gilmore, the greatest in the ABA, on the right-hand side when you're looking at Andre Drummond, the current leader of all time. He is current playing, and he's the highest of all time with 12.35. So I can see why he would say he thinks he's the greatest. Because a lot of people won't compare those from the 60s and 70s because the game has changed so damn much. So, and there's Dwight Howard that Mitch brought up, and some names I never even heard of, like Red Kerr and Walter Dukes and Bill Bridges. Dave Cowens is another old school guy. Yeah, I know who. And we talked about him earlier. Karl Anthony Towns, 10.85, as Mitch brought up earlier, one of the greatest rebounders and scorers, because he can, go to the outside, shoot from mid-range. He does it all. So, I mean, I think what the point that I'm trying to drill home could be obvious to most people is that it's so different because the game has changed so much. You got the two definitely on the top with Wilt and Bill, obviously, but the overall and the average just doesn't happen nowadays. You'll see a guy get 20 rebounds a couple times in a season, but how many people get 20 rebounds in any game anymore?
You're right.
You don't hear it.
No.
And if it is, it's the Drummonds or those that's all they do, and they end up getting 20 and they score like 3 points or something. But as the Sixers hopefully will find out this year, how valuable will that be, especially when Embiid needs a break, to bring in someone who can rip the boards down on both ends.
Yep. And yes, Rodman one of the best rebounders of all time. That's basically what he's
Definitely.
known for. Have you guys gotten into the training camp stuff? I have. I've gotten into it a little bit, and yeah, the Sixers are doing their thing pretty much. Maxey had a great day. It's like not much to really talk about. The people who really make videos about it, they're just jibber jabber,
Yeah.
like they're trying to come up with something.
Media day was interesting because the revolving wheel of players.
That's why I went live. That's why I went live for
You're
that.
seeing all these new people in new places, these rookies coming up, or guys that are just blowing up, people that have been traded, stuff. It's free agents that landed somewhere else. That's what I look at when I got media day. I want to see how they interact. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
it's pretty damn cool to see LeBron and Bronny sit together at the desk
That was awesome.
and talk about hoops, like them or
And
not.
they were just trolling each other throughout the whole day.
Yeah, that's what RQ just said. And I'm changing my tune on what I said last week.
Wait, you're not in tune?
No, last week I said I thought they would try to emphasize that preseason game and have them play. I don't think LeBron plays the preseason game. I think LeBron may play in the preseason, but very sparingly.
Yeah.
At his age, you want to save him for the regular season. So we're looking at the first regular season game for those two. And if you're the starting point guard for the Lakers, though, I mean you got to worry about, are they going to bench him just to start Bronny for that first game?
Yes.
Will they just have him in? Another thing they've been talking about on NBA, too, is they think, and I don't know about this, that Bronny will be going in and out of the G League after the first couple weeks.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sold on that. I've heard a lot of people say it. I think he should, but I'm not sure if they're going to do that, bro. I'm just not sure.
Jibber jabber.
Like D'Angelo, right now, he's the third point guard behind Gabe Vincent, and D'Angelo Russell's the starter. I mean, that starting lineup, Hachimura, Davis, LeBron, Reeves, and Russell. Now it's about depth because that's pretty much the same team they had last year.
Yeah.
And they struggled.
JJ said the G League is not a demotion preparing for – it's not. It is not a demotion at all.
Technically, it is, though. You're not getting paid as much when you're G League. You're not getting as much exposure, but you're getting valuable playing time that you wouldn't get in the big time. So it's super valuable. I'm not knocking that, but technically it is a demotion.
It is, and
you're
it
going
isn't.
You're not traveling with the real Lakers. It's a demotion technically.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm just gonna say this. I know JJ's my guy and everything. I love him to death. But when it comes to basketball, don't go to him. I'm telling you, just don't.
Another thing with the Lakers, Cam Reddish, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, I think could be a valuable player. I really like Dalton.
Sixers fans are still mad about that. I think Jared McCain over.
I think McCain was the right call. I do now. In hindsight, I do because I really want eventually Maxey to be the 2 guard.
Yeah.
I want him to be the scoring 2 guard, and I want McCain to run the offense. He's got to learn the system and hope that's the way I hopefully envision. It might be this year. If McCain really clicks, that could be our second half. McCain running the offense.
Kyle Lowry way deep on the bench. Just way over there.
When we need someone to spell this, whoever's that point guard, I will stick to this. He doesn't need to score 20 points a game. He doesn't need to play over half the game. But for 10, 15 minutes, a valuable player to keep the level of professionalism and expose.
That's where I put Reggie Jackson in. I'll put Reggie Jackson in.
Reggie, I think, is more of a scorer and coming off the bench to score points, not run the offense. Kyle Lowry comes in to run the offense.
Get more playing time early, but then as the season goes along, McCain gets more into it. Then you'll start to see Lowry go into that Udonis Haslem role on the bench as the season goes along.
I know you're not a fan of Lowry at all, but I think I'm more confident him coming in running the offense whenever McCain or Maxey is not in the game.
You know what?
A limited amount of minutes.
You know what I can see? And
you want him traded to the Pistons with Tobias, probably.
No. Well, that would be cool, but no. With Nick Nurse, I can see Nick Nurse starting him.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about when you're a coach, based on who you're playing, he might be the right person to start for the first quarter for some of these games.
Yeah, but I don't think he can last that long because he's 38.
He doesn't need to last very long. And another thing with McCain, I think the ability of working with someone like Kyle Lowry, who's won a chip, who's been around, learning the ropes from a Kyle Lowry, can hopefully keep McCain professional.
You know, that's his favorite teammate so far is Kyle Lowry.
That's the guy you should go to if you want to learn as a starting point guard in the NBA.
You want to hear this? Kyle Lowry was drafted when Jaron McCain was 1 year old.
Yeah. And I love the fact that the players that are sticking around for a long time, and they can. You know, LeBron being 22 years and, 17 years and 18 years. That's one thing you're not going to see in the NFL. You know, they're getting, those guys last 5 years. They're lucky 6, 7 years or 10. But
has it happened in baseball?
Baseball players can last longer, too, especially like,
not
players
hockey.
Not hockey and football. No, they don't. You look at the careers of like Lemieux. He played for a really long time. Yager's still playing over in Russia and stuff. I think he just fine. But you have players that do play a long time. Crosby, Malkin, they're still playing hockey.
Yeah,
it's like 20 some years later. But yeah, overall, hockey and football, you're not going to see longevity in a career like you do. That's why I like seeing the value of a veteran nowadays. I think is more important than back then, because these kids are coming out of college 1 year, 17, 18, 19. The value, and what do we talk about when players went to Memphis when they were young and they get a couple of veterans? The Nuggets have those veterans. These teams need those veterans. Chris Paul going to the Spurs to help out that young team. They don't need to be what they were 5, 6 years ago, be the main guy. But the value of a veteran, I think, is immeasurable with these kids nowadays.
I agree with you. I just don't want to be Kyle Lowry. Anyway, this is my favorite part of the show right now. It's something new. You guys haven't done this. I was just watching YouTube, and I saw some people do this, so shout out to them. So we're going to draft the starting 5 around Ja Morant. So around Ja Morant, who do you think will be a good shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center? So you guys are probably like, Mitch, who's going to get the first pick? Well,
I was going to say, I hope you have like a list or something we can pick from or something at least.
No.
Oh,
I'm talking about who got the first pick. So who gets the first pick? Please, not me. Please, there you go. There you go.
All right. So the first thing I think of.
Hold on. And then who would get the second pick?
Go ahead. Do that while I'm doing this.
Go for it. Me. Finally.
All right.
All right, Nikki, you get the last pick.
So
remember, it's a snake. So Blaze, you know what? I'm gonna go like this.
You're a snake.
I am a snake, a Jewish one. But all right, Blaze, you get the first pick.
So we're putting him at 2, right? We're not putting him are we putting him at a point guard?
I did.
He can play both.
I put him as a point guard. This is what I did. Hold on. There it is. So you look here. This is what I did. So we got Ja Morant, and then who will be the shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center?
All right. So I want a dynamic big man to play with Ja. That's the key. I want someone who can rebound, score, spread the court. I want someone who can complement his game. In Ja, one of my favorite parts about him is how he attacks the rim like the old Russell Westbrook used to. Top speed, full blast. He'll blow right past you. He on the fast break, which is my favorite part. I've never talked about this. Fast break, which I miss it, is my favorite part of basketball.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
And it's always been my favorite when I played and when I watch it. That's why, as much as I was a Sixer fan, I loved Showtime with the Lakers, because fast breaks with Magic Johnson running it, I loved it. Jason Williams running a fast break, you never know what to expect. So, and I'm going to do this with some player cards. So I just ordered this card, and I just got this card in the mail, and with the first pick to work along with him, I'm taking Giannis.
For your center?
I'll put him at 4.
4, okay. I was like, center? Okay.
My first pick to play with Ja. I want Giannis.
That was good.
I want a dynamic player to complement Ja.
So this is who I'm going to go with. I want a good shooting guard who can defend, who can get to the right spots and shoot. Give me Drew Holiday. All right, Nikki, you get back-to-back picks.
The second overall pick is Drew Holiday. Okay.
I got a plan in my head.
All right. Well, you better
all
hope
right.
Nicky and I don't take your picks.
Oh,
Nicky got
you
two
guys
picks.
won't. You guys won't. I'm telling you right now.
Because we have the
will
whole
get my
NBA
pick.
to pick from. We don't have like a salary cap or nothing.
I know.
Or do we have to
You
do a
guys-
realistic?
That's what I'm doing. So
Okay.
you guys should go whoever you want. I'm going for the
All right.
realistic route. So, Nikki, who you going with?
My team's
I'm
gonna crush
going
yours.
with
then.
center. I'm gonna go AD.
Yours is not gonna be realistic then. AD at the center? Okay.
You're giving me free reign to pick whoever I want to play with Ja.
All right, I
Go.
got one more.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
Snake? So let's see, back to back.
Do.
See, that's point guard.
I forgot who my. Oh, I got it. I
What
got
I'm
it.
gonna do is I'm gonna put Holiday at small forward.
Who?
Hold on. Let me see.
I got Drew Holiday.
And he's not a small forward.
Yeah, let's see. You got Luka, that ain't gonna work. You got shooting guard. No, that wouldn't really work. Power forward. I'm gonna go. I'll just take. Give me. Let's see, small forward.
See, if you really wanted to be realistic, Mitch, you would have put up all the salaries, and we would have had. You gave us like a cap.
Oh,
I'll do that for next time. Who you got?
what? Fuck it. I'll just
You have the whole NBA, but
No.
4 players to pick from.
go a little crazy. I'll just go fucking what's his cat at power forward just for the hell of it.
Okay. I'm just gonna go cat here. Okay, Blaze. Oh wait,
No,
it's me.
You.
It's me. Okay. I'm going with for my power forward, Kevin Durant.
I was humming that, and that was my second pick. I wanted Durant rookie card right here. So,
Ah!
but I got a backup plan.
What is up, Nick? Nick is in the chat here. He loves your jersey, Blaze.
I know. I already told him. Thank you.
Every team should want a guy like OG. Maybe. All right, Blaze, who you got back to back?
Well, first of all, and someone already said it in the chat. If I got Ja, I want Steph as my shooting guard.
So you're going Steph here?
Yeah. So Ja, Steph, and Giannis. I got a power forward and a center left.
Okay.
And you know what?
And who's your next?
Yeah. So I'm gonna save my small forward,
Okay.
and I'm gonna take Wemby as my center, so I can get rebounds and blocks,
Okay.
just to piss off Rios. Plus, I don't have to pay him a lot because he's on a rookie contract. So he
Right.
would be a little bit realistic. Like between Steph and Giannis, my money's gone.
So for me, this is who I'm taking here. I'm not even gonna say it. Paul George.
All right.
All right, Blaze, who you got for your last?
It's not me.
Oh wait, it's Nikki. I'm sorry. I'm
Who for
deja
Nicky
vu.
now?
Yeah, Nikki, who you got? You got back to back. Blaze team is
Harden, just
undefeated.
kidding.
Okay. Who you got?
Okay, so I need a shooting guard and a small forward. Okay, so small forward.
Nicky takes me, Tobias Harris, the greatest
Oh,
small
God, get
forward
the
in the
hell
world.
outta
We are the champions. Yeah. Coach Nicky, thanks a lot.
Who am I thinking of? Let me see. Who Who's on my mind?
But look, hey, Drew Holiday can guard Steph Curry. So there you go.
I'm gonna score 50 on him.
I'm gonna
Me?
go
Nice.
Michael Porter Jr., small forward.
That's an underrated pick.
That's one of
I
my
like-
favorite players.
That's a good one.
He's one of my favorite players. I got a shitload of his rookie cards too, so I'd love for him to pan
I
out
like-
to what he really can do.
I like that pick. Okay, who's your shooting guard?
And for shooting guard, let's see. Could go Tyrese. Could go. All right, could go there. Let's see. So shooting guard. I'm trying to. Well, at this point, the realistic one's kind of out of the book for this one.
Go for it.
And it isn't, but you know what? Just go Anthony Edwards.
Okay. And then for me, for my center, I have completely different routes here to go. So do I go with this guy who destroys Wembanyama every single time? Or do I go with this guy?
Every single time?
Yeah.
See, Michael
They-
Porter would have fit nice in my lineup, so that's a good steal for you.
He would
'Cause I
have
can
fit
afford
nice
him.
in mine too. Yeah. But I think everyone can afford that. All right. So do I go with this one or do I go with the more realistic route and who can actually shoot the three, space the floor, and is actually a very, very underrated defender?
Drum roll, please.
Brooke Lopez.
Brooke Lopez.
Fucking give me LeBron so I can spank all your teams.
I'm going for more of a realistic
I
route.
don't
That was
know. Well, I don't know. Paul George, Durant, and Ja. I don't know if you're going to pay all three of them.
No, I'm just saying, Ja, with these guys, they're going to take a step back. So Kevin Durant will be the 2, Paul George will be the 3. John Morant's the 1. You got Drew Holiday, who's the 4, and then you have Brooke Lopez, the chemistry with Drew Holiday.
My team
For that
fortune.
alley-oop.
Teams. See,
Yeah,
I like
that's
Nikki because
unrealistic.
Nikki reunited Ant and Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought
See,
Ant
I
and Cat back
reunited-
together. I like that.
I reunited Drew and Brooke Lopez.
Yeah.
What? Blaze seems okay. I'm going for more realistic route. Should have said that in the beginning.
Hey, you give
But,
me free
hey.
reign. I'm locking it down with that team. Hell yeah.
But hey,
My
this
team's
is
scoring
the
150 points a game. At least.
But this is why I did it, just so we can get in a, just something else we want to see, because I didn't want every Grizzlies player for Ja.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna do like Zion as the big power forward. If I was gonna be realistic, I would have took like Zion as to have those two
Blaze,
finally
you
play
froze.
together.
You're frozen.
Yeah, we hear your audio, but your visuals frozen.
Well, that means we win. Yay! We beat Blaze.
Am I frozen still?
I can't. Your
All you
camera's
got
not
is your
even
audio.
there. Your camera's not even there. That means we win. Nikki, we win.
All right, he's still not back.
On a count of 10, Blaze. 1, 2, 3.
Where's my brownies?
You don't even have a camera. Blaze is invincible.
I don't need a camera. I made my point. My team is
Oh.
badass.
Oh my god, that's actually funny. Watch. It's actually funny. I'm moving nothing.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that. I have nothing running on my computer.
I've never seen this before.
And even YouTube Studio says my stream is healthy. I'm blaming Mitch. Mitch's fault.
Blame me. He does go. All right, guys. So next week we're gonna Blaze is on. That means we win. All right, guys. So for next week we're gonna build around. If Blaze really wants to go the unrealistic route, I will go. There you are.
Ah, bitches.
What happened?
I just left the studio and came back in, so it's a StreamYard thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So next week we're gonna build around Anthony Edwards next
I actually
week.
wanted this team right here. I just got this card in the mail, which is from the Olympics. LeBron, KD, and Steph. So all I needed was Durant. If you wouldn't have picked Durant, I could have picked Durant first, and I would have had these three on my team.
Yeah.
And I saw those rumors that Steph going to the Lakers. Rumors already floating around out there.
Nothing stopped after he got extended.
It can still happen.
Yeah. All
It
right,
has
guys.
to be mid-season. It has to be February before it can happen. 6 months.
Yeah. Right. So next week we're gonna build around Anthony. You know what? No, we're gonna build around Victor Wembanyama.
Yes.
So when Leo's is here, we're gonna all build around Wemby.
Yeah, I like that because instead of another guard, let's build around a big guy.
Yeah, I think that'll be more entertaining. I'll go the unrealistic route if you guys really want. I just want to
I'll
try
stack
something.
my team to crush ya.
And I'll crush them. I'll stack.
Yeah, and then you'll have Mitch's team, and Mitch's team will be all about this. Brick.
Hey, I'm not drafting your boy. Anyways, make sure
My
you guys
team will
take
be
a-
like this. Boom shakalaka.
You know what? We should make it even more interesting. Build around Wemby with dunkers or shooters. Something different. We'll think about something.
G-leaguers.
All right. We got time.
Non-all-stars.
Around Wemby?
Yep. Non-all-star players.
Oh, that is a good one.
So you can't pick anyone who was in last year's all-star game.
Yeah. I like that. We're going to do that.
That'll
Oh,
make
that-
instead of the other way, you'd have to have like you'd have to have a salary cap and everybody's salary next to it and be doing math and all that shit. And
Nah. All right.
the
with
next
that
thing you
being-
know, we're gonna have those damn grids coming back. Oh boy.
I'll do that.
I didn't really
I don't-
mind the grids. It's just they
Oh,
made
you
me
did
think
it. So
too
next
much.
week, grids. All right.
I'll come back next week for one reason.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
All right, it's my show now, bitches. My show. Get out of here, both of you guys.
Then end it. Then.
No, I don't want to end it.
Then there you go.
Fasten your seatbelt for the.
On that note, guys, we are out. Have a good one. Peace.